Welcome to part 2 of my series on Masala cinema. If you haven't seen part 1, then I will leave a description below and you can check it out here as well. As I've mentioned previously, I really enjoy Masala cinema a lot. But just a reminder for everyone, if you've not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe and hit the bell icon for weekly Bollywood related content. Moving on, as a genre in Bollywood, Masala cinema is fast losing steam as there are only a handful of directors who are pursuing Masala films these days. But there was a time in the past when almost all Hindi films were Masala films. And as I've mentioned in the first video, Masala films, being a potpourri of different genres, had something to offer to everyone in the audience, from children to adults and anyone else in between. Part 1 of this series had films ranging from 10 to number 6, and in this video I will cover the top 5 Masala films of all time, in my opinion, of course. So let's begin, shall we? At number 5 is Yash Chopra's mega iconic film Deewaar, which released in 1975. The film, if you are not aware already, is a crime drama written by Salim Javed, directed by Yash Chopra, and stars Shashi Kapoor, Amitabh Bachchan, Nirupa Roy, Neetu Singh and Parveen Babi. The film narrates a moral tale involving a pair of impoverished brothers who, after finding themselves abandoned by their father, struggle to survive in the slums of Bombay and eventually find themselves on opposing sides of the law. The title Deewaar, which means wall in Hindi, represents the wall that has sprung up between the two brothers, partly due to fate and partly because of differences in ideology. The socio-political unrest of that era played a key role in the story as well. Deewaar was hugely successful, both critically and commercially, with all aspects of the film getting praise. The film's screenplay, story, music, as well as the performances of the acting ensemble, particularly Amitabh Bachchan, Shashi Kapoor and Nirupa Roy. It is often referred to as a groundbreaking cinematic masterpiece. The film had a significant impact on Indian cinema as well as the wider Indian society. The film's anti-establishment themes and Bachchan's criminal anti-hero vigilante character resonated with audiences, and it also cemented his image as the angry young man of Bollywood. The film also cemented the success of writers Salim Javed, who went on to write many more blockbuster films, and they were paid as highly as leading actors at the time. Deewaar's influence also extends to world cinema, influencing some films from Hong Kong and also British cinema. British director Danny Boyle described Deewaar as being absolutely key to Indian cinema and cited the film as an influence on his Academy Award-winning film Slumdog Millionaire. All that being said, Deewaar isn't just a simple Masala film. With the unprecedented growth of slums across India at the time, Vijay, played by Amitabh Bachchan, was seen as a new kind of hero, an anti-hero to be precise, with his rage channeling the voice of the urban poor. Deewaar is also remembered for its iconic dialogues written by Salim Javed, the most famous line being "Mere paas maa hai," a line that has become part of Indian popular culture so much that A.R. Rahman referenced this line in his Oscar acceptance speech for Slumdog Millionaire. Amitabh Bachchan himself has described Salim Javed's screenplay for Deewaar as the perfect script and the best screenplay ever in Indian cinema. A lesser-known fact about Deewaar is that it's also one of the first Indian films with action sequences modeled after Hong Kong martial arts cinema. In any shape, way or form, Deewaar remains an unrivaled classic in the history of Hindi cinema and one of the first few films that defined the trajectory of Masala cinema as a whole. At number 4 is a personal favorite of mine, and this might be controversial as I've put it above films like Deewaar and Amar Akbar Anthony, but here it is. Shalimar, a 1978 Bollywood film written and directed by Krishna Shah. The movie starred Dharmendra, Zeenat Aman, Shami Kapoor, Prem Nath and Aruna Irani. English actor Rex Harrison and American actors John Saxon and Sylvia Miles appear in supporting roles in their first and only Bollywood film. The English version of the film is known as Raiders of the Sacred Stone. In the Hindi version, Rex Harrison's voice was dubbed by Kader Khan. The plot of the film, which is quite unique for Hindi cinema, is inspired by the novel The Vulture is a Patient Bird by James Hadley Chase. The film was released in two versions, Hindi and English. Both versions were actually unsuccessful at the box office. However, the Hindi version later gained cult status in the DVD video circuit and is now considered to be way ahead of its times. The unique thing about Shalimar is its storyline. It is perhaps the most unique masala film in that respect. The story involves a heist in the form of a game. A group of notorious criminals and thieves are invited to a private island and offered the chance to steal Shalimar, the eponymous diamond that's worth 135 crores. The diamond is obviously secured and protected by an army of men 24/7. It's like Mission Impossible before there was a Hollywood Mission Impossible. Of course, there are usual twists and turns, but to the viewer's delight, they are certainly not predictable. It's a marvelous storyline, and it's easy to see why the film flopped for the wrong reason. It really was way ahead of its times, especially considering the stories that were prevalent in Bollywood at that time. The other great aspect about Shalimar is its music. It's actually quite outstanding. When Shalimar released, Kishore Kumar was probably at the top of his game, and his rendition of Hum Bewafa Hargiz Na The remains a perennial favorite to this day. The great R.D. Burman had composed the music for Shalimar, and the soundtrack is so good that it has been featured in the book 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die. Other notable songs include Aina Wahi Rehta Hai, sung by Lata Mangeshkar, Mera Pyar Shalimar, sung by Asha Bhosle, and 1-2 Cha Cha Cha, sung by Usha Uttup. A little known fact about Shalimar is that Amitabh Bachchan was originally cast for the leading role, but left at the outset because of some issues. Krishna Shah never really divulged what those issues were, and Shalimar was the most expensive Bollywood film of that era, and the stunt work plus special effects were done by international teams from Hollywood and the UK. According to Krishna Shah, Shalimar was a caper film to end all caper films, and it was grand and innovative, no doubt, but it did not receive the box office outcome that it clearly deserved. Nevertheless, at least in this viewer's outlook, it remains one of the best Bollywood masala films of all time. At number 3 is another controversial choice, Aamir Khan's Lagaan, which released in 2001. Some people will object to the term masala when used to describe Lagaan, but I disagree. I do think Lagaan is an example of a masala film, a mishmash of genres including elements from a Hollywood western with conventional song and dance routines. It doesn't have a traditional action element in it, but it has a substitute, a cricket match to make up for it. Strictly speaking, you can call Lagaan a historical fantasy masala film, as much of a mouthful that is. Lagaan was written and directed by Ashutosh Gowarikar and produced by Aamir Khan, who also played the leading role along with debutante Gracie Singh. British actors Rachel Shelley and Paul Blackthorne played supporting roles. Lagaan was made on a then unprecedented budget of 25 crores, and it was the first ever movie to come out of Aamir Khan Productions as well. I'm sure you all know the plot of Lagaan, but just to recap, the film is set in 1893 during the late Victorian period of India's British Raj in a fictional village in central India. The inhabitants of the village, burdened by high taxes and several years of drought, find themselves in an extraordinary situation when an arrogant British army officer, played by Paul Blackthorne, challenges them to a game of cricket as a wager to avoid paying taxes. The villagers now have to unite and learn to play a game that is completely alien to them and play for a result that will save them from complete ruin. An interesting tidbit about Lagaan is that Aamir Khan had initially rejected the idea of a sports film, but upon hearing the script found himself quite moved by it. But even after securing Aamir, Ashutosh Gowarikar had trouble finding a producer. Producers who showed interest in the script wanted budget cuts as well as modifications to the script. Eventually, Aamir agreed to produce the film himself. By becoming the producer, he was able to give greater creative freedom to Ashutosh Gowarikar. Lagaan is a landmark film in Indian cinema as it received widespread critical acclaim and awards at international film festivals. It became the third Indian film to be nominated for the Oscar in the Best Foreign Language Film category after Mother India and Salaam Bombay. The now legendary music for Lagaan was composed by A.R. Rahman with lyrics by Javed Akhtar. Rahman incorporated several music styles and genres to create the soundtrack of the film. Upon release, the soundtrack became quite popular, with all songs becoming huge hits. It also received high critical acclaim, with many reviewers calling it Rahman's magnum opus. It remains one of A.R. Rahman's finest and most successful works to date. Lagaan was listed at number 14 on Channel 4's 50 Films to See Before You Die and was the only Indian film to be listed at the time. The film was also well received in China, where its themes resonated with Chinese audiences, and it was ranked at number 55 in Empire magazine's 100 Best Films of World Cinema in 2010, a landmark for Indian cinema indeed. My choice at number 2 is going to surprise a lot of people. Shock is probably the right word, but here it goes. At number 2 is the mother of all masala films, Sholay. Yes, it's not number 1, but number 2. The reason behind it I will explain later. Written by Salim Javed, directed by Ramesh Sippy, and produced by his father G.P. Sippy, Sholay released in 1975 and is widely considered to be the greatest Indian, not just Hindi, film ever made. If someone has not lived under a rock for the past 45 years, then it's impossible to not know anything about Sholay. But to quickly recap the story, the film is about two petty criminals, Veeru and Jay, played by Dharmendra and Amitabh Bachchan, who are hired by a retired police officer, played by Sanjeev Kumar, to capture the ruthless dacoit Gabbar Singh, played by Amjad Khan. Hema Malini and Jaya Bhaduri also star as Veeru and Jay's love interests. The film's plot was loosely styled after Akira Kurosawa's 1954 film Seven Samurai. Sholay is often described as a dacoit western film, combining the conventions of Indian dacoit films like Mehboob Khan's Mother India and Nitin Bose's Ganga Jamuna with that of westerns, especially Sergio Leone's spaghetti westerns like Once Upon a Time in the West and The Magnificent Seven. The character of Gabbar Singh turned out to be the real USP of the film and was modelled on a real-life dacoit of the same name who had terrorized villages in the 1950s. Ramesh Sippy focused on Gabbar being an emblem of pure evil instead of a man who became a dacoit due to societal issues, as was the case in other films of the time. To emphasize the point of Gabbar being a new type of villain, Gabbar Singh did not wear dhotis and pagris in Sholay, but was shown wearing army fatigues, an interesting choice more in line with Leone than Mehboob Khan. When the roles were being cast, the producers considered Danny Dengsongpa for the role of Gabbar Singh, but he was committed to act in Feroz Khan's Dharmatma. Amjad Khan, who was the second choice, was then cast in the role that eventually immortalized him. Interestingly, Sanjeev Kumar also wanted to play the role of Gabbar Singh, but Salim Javed felt he had the audience's sympathy through roles he had done before. Salim Javed also approached Dilip Kumar to play Thakur's role, but he turned down the offer. Dilip Kumar later said it was one of the few films he regretted turning down in his career. The film had a lavish production for its time and took 2.5 years to make, and eventually went over budget. One reason for its high cost was that Ramesh Sippy was a perfectionist and he refilmed scenes many times to get the desired effect he wanted. Ye Dosti, a 5-minute song sequence, just as an example, took 21 days to shoot. The film's music was composed by R.D. Burman and the lyrics were written by Anand Bakshi. But the surprising thing about Sholay is that the film's dialogues became more popular than its music. Certain scenes and dialogues from the film earned iconic status in India, such as Kitne Aadmi The, Jo Dar Gaya, Samjho Mar Gaya, and Bahut Yarana Lagta Hai, all dialogues uttered by Gabbar Singh. Audio cassettes comprising of Sholay's dialogues outsold the film's music, which is the only time it has happened in Bollywood history. Sholay has received many Best Film honours. It was declared the Film of the Millennium by BBC India in 1999. It topped the British Film Institute's Top 10 Indian Films of All Time poll of 2002 and was also included in Time magazine's Best of Bollywood list in 2010. Adjusted for inflation, it's possibly the biggest box office hit in the history of Indian cinema. And that's just the proverbial tip of the iceberg. It's a great film by any stretch of the imagination and the most well-known and beloved masala film of all time. This brings me to my number 1 masala film of all time. Let the drums roll. And here it is, Yash Chopra's Kala Patthar. It's my favorite masala film of all time because it represents the absolute best that masala cinema has to offer, namely a fantastic plot, which in this case is based on a true story, brilliant music, some exquisite dialogues, some very interesting themes, and complete edge-of-the-seat drama. Written by Salim Javed, the film was based on the Chasnala mining disaster and was the fourth collaboration between Amitabh Bachchan, Shashi Kapoor and director Yash Chopra after Diwar, Kabhi Kabhi and Trishul. The Chasnala mining incident was a disaster that happened in 1975 in a coal mine in Chasnala, which is now part of Jharkhand. An explosion in the mine followed by flooding of the mines killed around 375 miners. Kala Patthar uses this incident as a backdrop, and its story is about miners being trapped underground and their eventual rescue operation. The mining disaster, which is a superb edge-of-the-seat drama, only makes up the third act of the film. There is other interesting stuff that happens in the film in the first two acts as well. Kala Patthar, in one sense, is a film about fallen heroes, people who are fighting the demons of their past, as is the case with the two main characters of the film. Amitabh Bachchan's character is a disgraced merchant navy captain who is running away from his past act of cowardice. Similarly, Shatrughan Sinha's character is an escaped convict who is trying to evade the police by working in a coal mine. This theme of fallen heroes redeeming themselves has been reused by Yash Raj films much later in films like Chak De India and more recently in War. The two alpha males in Kala Patthar have some superb confrontation scenes, none better than the one where each tries to order a cup of tea for himself, provoking each other for a fight. It's certainly one of the best build-ups I've witnessed in masala cinema. The music, which is a special highlight of the film, was composed by Rajesh Roshan with lyrics written by Sahir Ludhianvi. Ek Rasta Hai Zindagi, sung by Kishore Kumar and Lata Mangeshkar, is one of my favorite songs of all time. Kishore Kumar, meanwhile, did receive a Filmfare nomination for the song, but did not go on to win. Baahon Mein Teri, sung by Mohammad Rafi and Lata Mangeshkar, is another favorite of mine. In terms of performances, I think Kala Patthar represents Amitabh Bachchan at his very best. He is charismatic, aloof, and mysterious, hurt and overcome by guilt, and his very few outbursts of emotion are just hypnotic to watch. If you are a fan of Amitabh Bachchan, as I'm sure most of you are, this is a film you do not want to miss. Kala Patthar only did average business at the box office when it released, but it was critically acclaimed and received several Filmfare Award nominations. Since then though, it has attained cult status and is considered a classic in Hindi cinema. It certainly is my favorite masala film of all time. So with that, I conclude my list of top 10 masala films of all time. I hope you've enjoyed listening to my choices, and I'm sure some of you will have your disagreements as well. I've left links to buy DVDs for all these films in the description below in case you are interested in owning a copy. Let me know in the comments below what are your choices for the top masala films. I will be making a list soon which will contain masala films that I had to leave out of the top 10, even though I like them quite a lot. So do hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to get notified as well. Finally, if you did like my video, do give it a thumbs up as it will help spread the word and might just rekindle an interest in masala cinema. You never know. See you all in the next one.